It's our last session.
We're back.
Yes.
We're back for the last time until we do DivorceCon again. But the last session, how are we here?
And the sun is out.
And the sun came out.
Because we literally went through 4 different weather patterns throughout the course of today. So it's felt very all over the map. But
a metaphor for divorce. Honestly. We literally just went through it all. Lost the power. I mean, that would be me, laying in the fetal position in my bedroom, lost the power.
Yep.
And now look at the sun, because it's all about embracing hope, which we love.
Yeah.
So, hi, everybody. Yes, everyone dropping in. Tell us where you are physically, but also where you are in this process, why you wanted to join. If you're just finding us,
welcome. Thank you for being here. We're super excited to have you here, and we're also super excited and how that kind of can set the tone for the rest of your co-parenting. Hello, friends.
Yeah.
Hello.
So excited for you to be here. Thank you so much. And you're our final finale of DivorceCon. So we're gonna end it on a really high positive note.
Yeah. So, Kate, is Hallie there with you?
She should be, but I wonder if I got on and so she can't. So I might log off and get on my personal if that's okay. Let me see if that maybe that
Go
might be the issue. Okay.
We'll still be here chatting.
Yeah, we're gonna
just
intro you guys.
Okay.
Then we'll see you back in a second.
All right.
So, so they are going to talk to us all about co-parenting in the first 90 days and why that's so important and how that kind of sets the tone for the rest of your co-parenting. And they are the before I get into the topic as well, before I go too further down the rabbit hole of the topic, I'm sorry, I'm whew. I know.
Okay, Pookie.
I know
It's been a lot. It's a lot. We love you guys for giving us the love back.
Yes.
That's the best part. Thank you for laughing with us, but it's okay, Pookie. Go ahead. Reset.
No, I'm resetting. So this is the Co-Parent Collective. They're an amazing resource for anybody that's co-parenting, and they are going to talk to us today about how how their own personal journeys of comparing notes from different ends of the same, what feels like a broken system, kept landing in the same place. And usually, a lot of times, kids are the ones that get hurt in the divorce process. And so they're going to talk about how it's handled and how co-parents co-parent after, because it is definitely a learning curve. And the reason why they created the Co-Parent Collective. So we are getting them back in. Hello, ladies.
Oh my gosh. Do we
we got
okay. Yay. We did it. We love that you're a duo like us.
Yes. Duos are the best.
Our duo's the greatest.
They're
we love a
amazing.
collective. We love a partnership.
A collective. It's a vibe. It's the only way to do it. We call ourselves a duo. We were just texting this morning. We're never been a better duo to do.
Yes, we love it.
Than us.
We love it so much.
It's the best. But we love that you're here and that you reached out to collaborate with us, because it's a perfect placement in the DivorceCon schedule, because we just finished talking about divorce planning. And what we love about the work that you all are doing is that, again, there's this intention that is a value for intention that's part of it, which is early on, what could we be doing that sets us up for success? Because this road is long. And every time we post a reel, one of our funny, reels about how many thousands of days left in co-parenting, thousands of days and minutes, people are like, I got another 12 years.
Yeah.
I mean, you really do want to be set up for success.
Yeah.
This is
a long road. And it maybe
road.
never really ends.
Probably not, but we don't want to think about that. Yeah, we don't want to think about that.
You don't stop co-parenting after your kids turn 18. You're still going to be doing weddings and grandkids and celebrations and Thanksgivings and all the holidays after. So you got to
buckle in,
Yep,
right?
Exactly, buckle up.
yeah, exactly. For what and also know what you want and how you want to function, right? It's it can start to look different when they get older. I mean, Hillary and I are different in that she's got little ones. I have one that's 22, one that's 15, and that relationship, that co-parenting relationship, has shifted. I have a little bit more autonomy journey with what that looks like for the oldest versus the youngest, and my ex. But again, the early days, like setting a foundation is what, like, we're so glad that you all have decided to focus on that. And if you can just start by telling us like a little bit more. We did an introduction, but like why this matters so much to you both.
Yeah. So, well, thanks again for having us. We're so excited to be
So
here.
excited.
We're your neighbors down I-95. So we're in Montgomery County, Maryland. Um,
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
right
Okay.
in
we'll have
Bethesda.
you in real life.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then we
Um,
definitely need to collab.
Yeah.
Like more. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, Kate and I came to this from, I mean, we'd both been divorce professionals. Kate had been as a child therapist, child specialist, and had been working for, when we met, I think 15, 17 years. And I had been working as a psychologist for about 10 years and specializing in divorce. I became a custody evaluator, parent coordinator. So we're doing like really opposite things. But we had a mutual mentor who was like, you guys need to get together and get lunch. And so we did. And so when we got together and got lunch, we realized like there is really a need for
Yeah.
child focused education and child focused resources for parents and attorneys to kind of guide everyone in a lower conflict, more child focused way. Because we, like, especially in my work, I see people at their highest levels of conflict and
Yeah.
it can just derail a process and really derail a family. And so we were trying to help people get away from that.
Yeah, I mean, my dream would be to almost put myself out of a job in the therapy world, by creating such a different experience for kids early on, so that they're getting the help and support they need in those early stages, and then as they navigate kind of their new family system for the rest of their lives, because so much can be changed for their experience and really help them, which I think is really critical.
Yeah, absolutely. And so as we dive into like our first question, what are some of the biggest mistakes that loving parents, like even with the best of intentions, make early on when they're creating a parenting plan or they're co-parenting for the first time together? What kind of mistakes do they make without even realizing it?
Yeah, and it's interesting watching some of the previous previous people on DivorceCon today that a lot of people are saying the same thing, right? Like
Hmm.
getting a bulldog attorney, getting going immediately, assuming you're going to be going down this litigation route, prepping yourself for that. Obviously, there are times where that's needed, of course, but most people don't need to go to trial. Most people don't need to be spending
Yeah.
hundreds of thousands of dollars on this process. And so, really, like picking the right process and the right professional to help you, professionals to help you down the line. We see that day in and day out. That's really what brought us together too, was like just knowing a lot of these attorneys have, some of them have the best of intentions, but get really caught up in the spiral of their client's narrative and just push them right into this really high conflict position. So we see that from the get go. So that's a big part of our education is like, what do you, let's take a beat. Let's like try to
Right.
figure out what the
Right.
right
Yeah.
process is to save you time, money, energy, heartache, all of that. Um,
Because
and
we
then,
also really, oh,
go.
sorry, go ahead, Holly. I was just going to say, piggybacking off of what you said, right? Because also we see how much that then affects the co-parenting relationship, right? And
Mhm.
how much parents can then show up to that dynamic in a healthy way, which the divorce is one thing, but as we said at the beginning, right? Like they're co-parenting for a very long time. And if it starts off highly contentious, it's hard to recalibrate. Um, and the ones that really suffer are the kiddos. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
And like we always say about co-parenting, like you're playing the long game, not the
yeah,
short game. Like
yeah,
you're going to make a series of deposit in your co-parenting bank and a series of withdrawals. And like I
love
hate
that.
to put it down like that to like
Yeah,
kind of like but that really is what it's like a lot of times. Like
yeah,
you kind of you really have to like reframe how you think about it. It's not so much about winning or whatever. It's about establishing this new partnership with this person,
Oh yeah.
even if you would love to never see them again. That's not the reality.
Right.
So,
Actually, we have a
yeah.
question that someone just dropped in. If it's okay if we ask you all
Yeah.
that, any
Sure.
advice for how to tell your children? We haven't done anything official, but it's coming. The person says they're stuck between waiting until it's more in the works versus communicating now.
that's a great question.
That's a
That's
great question.
awesome.
Yeah,
Do you
That's
want me
something that we also see. Actually, loving parents make that big mistake is either just like telling one of the parents telling the kids or giving too much information. So I think it's great that this person is thinking about that, right? Like even considering it. And we have some workshops on the creating a divorce narrative, but that's essentially what we suggest, right? Is like that the two of you come together to create this unified, cohesive story, narrative for your kids that explains to them in an age appropriate way what's happening, what's going to stay the same, and what's going to be different, right? I mean, essentially, because that's what it boils down to, figuring out this. Your kids really do want to know. Like, obviously, they know this is going to be a huge change, but they want to know what's staying the same and what's going to be
mm-hmm,
completely different, right. And as I think the timing when to tell them depends on how much of that you know,
mm-hmm,
and having a time frame. Because if you're saying, okay, well, we're going to be moving out in X amount of or we're going to be moving out, but we don't know when. Like that creates this really like a huge tunnel for your kid, and they have no idea.
Anxiety. Yeah.
yeah.
Kate, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
No, yeah. I mean, the divorce narrative is really critical. We do have some resources on our website for parents that can kind of get some support in what are the types of things you want to be thinking through as parents before you have that conversation, because it's really important that parents are on the same page when they give that message, even if behind the scenes they're not on the same page, right? The idea is that the kids are receiving this unified message, which communicates a sense of security and stability in a time that feels really chaotic. um, and another part of that is the parents kind of doing the pre-work so that they can show up to that conversation in a way that's really thoughtful and helpful and can be open to the kids responses, whatever they are, and make space for questions. And we always also say, like, you might not have all the answers, so there are things that resources parents can look into to figure out, when you don't have the answers, what can you say? How can you communicate? We don't know that yet. We're working on that, and we'll let you
Yes.
know when we do know. But you can ask us questions anytime.
Yeah, that's a huge part of it too. And like, I mean, I still like my kids are like, I'm almost 4 years post divorce, and I still get questions from like, my son about like just stuff, and I'm like, I don't know the answer to that. Like, I'll be honest, and I'm like, kind of like, always scrambling a little bit. But I think that being prepared and being educated on age appropriate things and what and or where to go for answers like that is also really key.
Right, because I'm a fan of saying like ChatGPT has never been married, divorced, or
Or
a
had
parent.
yes, or a
Like,
Yeah.
co-parent.
yeah, I mean,
Yes.
right? Like, and so like we go there and yeah, I mean, occasionally maybe they'll give you some early ideas, but there's nothing like human people, experts in
Yep.
this area, to say, well, this is what we know from experience, direct
Right.
evidence, whether it's our personal experience or experience through people that you work with. But, there's so much to be said for setting the right tone in the very
Hmm.
beginning. And I think that helps for everybody, because there's so much about the society in which we live, right, that presupposes that divorce is going to be acrimonious, that it's
Right.
going to be, painful, and it can be all of those things, but it doesn't
Hmm.
have to be the most prominent aspect of it. So setting the right tone,
Absolutely.
coming with this intention is so, so critical. Like, it's so important. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
then
I always say that like ChatGPT is the best for rewriting your messages, your hate messages. Like it's
Yes.
if you want to send your co-parent
Yeah.
like 8 paragraphs about what they did wrong, yeah, send that to ChatGPT and let it rewrite it for you, and then send that.
bring
But
rock, please.
Chat, right,
Yeah.
like it doesn't have like that. I mean, this is a really hard
It's just
task. Like
nuanced.
kids,
Yeah.
and it needs that you have to come to it with your co-parent, and
Mhm.
figuring out how to do that together on some level can be one of the hardest tasks of divorce
Right.
emotionally for
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
and letting know that, like, letting yourself know that there's no right. I mean, like, right, there are best practices, but I think I mean, I remember being like very, very nervous about getting it right.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
And right has been rewritten a million times in my
yeah.
mind, like, since that point, and how the conversations continue. But I think that that's also one of the things that like keeps parents like in a really scary place when they're approaching this conversation, is like,
Yeah.
I want to do it right, because we want the best for our kids,
Mm-hmm.
most parents do. But even letting right go can be helpful.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
we talk about that a lot too, or at least I do definitely with my divorce coaching clients, in that you are going to mess it up, right? everyone does, right? As a parent, as a person, as a colleague, whatever, right? It's all about the repair and going back and having that follow up conversation with your kid. I've learned something and I realize now moving forward, I need to do this part a little differently. Or, I handled this in a way that isn't how I wanted to do it. And I'm really sorry. Like, let's see how we can move forward from this. So, if there are missteps, that's not a problem. It's just, okay, how can you course correct with your child in a way that, meets their emotional needs, right? And their needs moving forward.
Yeah, I think that's a really good segue too into like the next question that we had is like, what decisions do parents tell you have made the biggest difference in their
Mm.
families? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think how they approach things like this, like in a unified factor, can really set the tone, like for how decisions are made. Are we going to communicate the narrative together? Are we going to make the conscious choice to say, your dad and I, your mom and I, or to make it so that it's a unified front, so that there's this prioritization of the child, right? Like that the kids know that they are always going to be your priority, and they know that you've always got their back, right? That they're the kids and you're the adult. I think that that's where like these first the outset can really set that tone, right? Like, are we going to elect this? A mediation route or a settlement route and try to go that way instead of going to court, and having a big long trial? Are we going to tell our kids in a unified way so that they feel more secure? Like, are we going to make a commitment to not send messages through them, like communicate just directly through to each other? I think a lot of those early things like that, those early decisions can really set the tone, for many, many years. And again, as Kate said, like those are things that you can continue to refine over time and you can recalibrate. And if you are somebody that's at the outset of your divorce right now, just know that you're really at a point where you can take a couple different paths, and those can make a huge impact on how much easier things are down the road.
Yeah. And I think
And
no, I was just saying, I think
no,
that it's an important, like what you're saying also is an important reminder for us all to give ourselves grace in this scenario. Like
mhm.
we've never been here before. Parenting on its own is hard. And then when you kind of mix this in, it makes it even harder. So, I love how you're reminding, your advice to like kind of go back to your child and say, hey, I wish I would have handled this differently. And it just demonstrates that we should have grace for ourselves, essentially.
Kate, were you going to say something else you wanted to add on?
I mean, I think really actually similarly to what you're mentioning, right? Which is obviously our kind of focus of the work we do is how to keep everything child centered. But in that is a lot of work for the parents because we recognize, right, how like I mean, just the amount of emotions, right, that you go through when you're navigating this, how hard it is, and the value of doing kind of the inner work to make all of these shifts that divorce asks of you, which are like sometimes can feel impossible. But doing that work is what makes a lot of that possible for your kid. And kind of going back to you can't do that by yourself. Having a support system, whether it's a therapist or a coach or friends or family to help you navigate that part of divorce is really essential. There's the legal part, but there's the emotional part that parents deal with. And you really, you need that help in order to be there for your kid.
Yeah, that's why we're fanatics about community over
Yep.
Yeah,
here. It's a game
you've
changer.
created a big one. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
fabulous.
yeah, it's a game changer.
So, how do you stay focused on your child and stay child centered when you're experiencing these really high emotions, especially with your ex when you're trying to work together to create this unified parenting front? Like, what kind of advice would you have for parents that are going through that inevitably?
Yeah. I mean, we say a lot of it, we talk about self-regulation, right?
Mhm.
Like that so much, and well, I'll finish one thought first. So self-regulation, whatever works for you, right? So box breathing, taking a walk, putting a cold washcloth on your neck, journaling, meditation, whatever is your kind of self-regulation piece of choice or technique of choice. Um, Encompassing all of that is to say, like, pretty much nothing or very rarely in co-parenting are things like a true emergency. You will come up on that, right? Where it's like there is an emergency, but like an email asking about transition next week is not an emergency. And training yourself to take a couple beats to be like, don't need to answer this right now. I can calm, I can respond instead of react. Like I can take a few beats. I don't have to respond to this, whether it's a text, an email, an OFW message, something like that. Like I think that's just the biggest piece is like starting to A, self-regulate, and B, get that perspective on,
Mm.
do I need to respond to this? Does this deserve this much of my energy? And like protecting that, and then allowing yourself a lot of grace and a little bit of time before you have to respond back to something. Because truly, again, it's just like that message about the baseball glove, probably not that urgent, right? Like it doesn't
Yes.
necessitate an immediate response. It can wait, even if it's 5-10 minutes, to be like, I'm gonna regulate myself. I'm gonna take a few deep breaths and maybe pop the desired response into chat, reframe it, and then send it. I think that can really help, again, keep things really child centered and make you feel better and more in control, because you're gonna send a better thought out response
Mm.
than just
Absolutely.
fire off the first thing that you want to
Yeah.
send.
No, this is hitting really close to home because I'm thinking of like how I used to respond whenever I'd see
Mm.
a text from my ex come through. I'd be like, like,
Yep.
and now it's not as anxiety. I mean, sometimes it's still anxiety producing, but not in the way it used to be because of things like this that, you really do have to kind of put it into perspective. And is it really that urgent? And usually it's not, but it's our nervous systems, like retraining them and kind
Yeah.
of getting used to this new life too, like this, in the grace period that we give ourselves.
And even when you're trying to do that, like, because it's not always easy to, I just want to encourage people to like see their doctors and stay healthy, because
Mm-hmm.
like
Yes.
part one of my coping mechanisms occasionally
Mm-hmm.
is I have a prescription for a very small dose of Xanax.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
honestly, that has been part of my self-care. Taking a beat
Yeah.
sometimes means like asking your doctor what other support is maybe available for that. Again, they will help you, but I feel like all of that needs to be sort of on the table so people can
Mm-hmm.
not think that there's a deficit in them if
Yep.
taking the beat is not enough.
Yeah. I mean,
Absolutely.
self-care, maximizing your self-care, therapist, coach, support group, any of those, a psychiatrist, anything like that that you can lean on for support, especially in the times when you're not with your kids, right?
Yeah.
To really use those periods of time to fill your cup. We think that's super important as well.
And I
Yeah.
think learning the skills, especially when you're dealing with a high conflict co parent who likely isn't going to change their behavior at all, right? It's kind of radical acceptance that they are who they are and this is how they're going to be. And so, how do you find ways of communicating with them, right? Whether it's gray rocking or biff or these kind of skills that help you show up in the best way you can to the
Mhm.
conversation that doesn't escalate conflict. And then you do the kind of self-care behind the scenes, right? And boundaries, we talk about boundaries a lot. Like you
Oh,
have to have boundaries
can't
everywhere.
preach them enough.
Yes,
Yes.
cannot understate that enough. Well, I think that, like, Kate, this is a really good segue actually into a question that we got from someone,
Hmm.
which is, and I don't know that we'll be able to get to like a full, complete answer, but the question's about parental alienation.
Mhm.
Mm.
And, that unfortunately, I mean, there's co parenting, right? Then there's parallel parenting, and then there's
Mm-hmm.
parental alienation. So there's all kinds of iterations of what this looks like. But
Mm-hmm.
in your experience, what have you seen? What kind of guidance would you give someone who feels like they're being alienated from their kids, in this co-parenting phase?
Hallie, this is a great
I was
one
just
for
gonna
you.
say,
I think
Kate,
it's a PC.
10 seconds or less, because it's a very simple. No, I'm just kidding. This is like the most complex, like the most complex topic.
I
Yeah,
know.
I'm
Yeah.
happy. Kate maybe can speak to some of the therapy pieces. I would say this is a time when external support is going to be necessary and not just
Yeah.
a luxury. Like I would reach out to a coach, a parent slash divorce coach, somebody who really knows exactly how to deal with the responses that you might be getting from your kids, when they,
Mm-hmm.
when they are talking to you, if they are talking, because the answer here is really going to depend on where you kind of are on that
Mm-hmm.
spectrum, or how long, how much your kid is talking with you. There are a lot of great books and resources. If this person wants to DM us, we can
Yeah.
go, we can give some direct responses, because alienation is so complicated and so difficult. And I'm sorry to hear that that's like even a concern, but I think the earliest you can intervene with it, I would say priority number one, get a divorce coach, parent coach who really knows what they're doing. And actually, this is a time where I would get an attorney. I would have an
Yeah.
attorney involved who's very familiar with parental alienation or resist refuse dynamics, because that's not every attorney is well versed in that, and
Mm-hmm.
that's really important to know because there are different parenting plans that we might implement. And then three, I would
Mm-hmm.
say, is early. Like starting to find an action plan today, because the longer that
Mm.
these to escalate and get entrenched in these behavior plans, the harder they are
Yeah.
to dial back from. And so would be happy to talk more and give some resources, because there's a couple of great books that Kate and I recommend all the time, and resources. But yeah, resist, refuse, and parental alienation is so complicated. So it's hard to give a good answer, but I would say definitely try to reach out to a professional as soon as you're able to.
Yeah, he just said 19 months and he hasn't
Mm.
been able to speak with them, his
Uh,
three daughters. So yeah, Justin, definitely DM
Yeah.
our friends, please. They're gonna help you. Um, and we're sending you positive vibes.
Yeah.
Can't even imagine.
yeah.
And thank you guys for being willing to, respond to DMs and provide support in that way. This is before we kind of close this session. We want to end it on a more positive note of what gives you hope after working with so many divorced families and, just all the hard stuff that you have to deal with on a daily basis.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, it is like it's a tough field, but I think that makes the rainbows after the storm seem so much brighter,
Yeah.
right? Like knowing what you've come through. And one of my favorite stories is I worked with this PC couple, so parent coordination couple, and at the beginning of our work together, they could like barely be in the same Zoom room. Like one would drop off, they'd scream, I'd have to mute them. They could not get anything done. And then I worked with them for about 6 months. And as Kate said at the beginning, my goal in PC is like to work myself out of a job. I don't want to be working with you in 5 years. Like I know I want to be
Yeah.
working with you in a year. I want you guys to develop your
Yep.
Right.
tools and
Yeah.
figure it out. And about 6 months in, they were having an argument, but they were able to talk about it. And the mom stopped and she said, listen, I don't agree with this, but I respect you as a parent. So I'm going to
Mm.
endorse it with our kids, and I'm going to endorse it right now. And I'm going to say, I would like for you to, go ahead and do X, Y, Z. And he stopped and he was like, that's the most powerful thing you've said to me
Mm.
since we got divorced. And I really appreciate that. And it was I think I had like one session with them after that, because it was just such a moment of, wow, like that's it. That's co-parenting,
Yeah.
right? Like you don't have to
Yeah.
agree,
Yep.
but
Yeah.
you have to respect your co-parent and know that
Yep.
it's in the best interest of their kids. So that's my favorite story. Kate, I don't know if I'm sure you want to share one also.
I won't even speak to necessarily a story. I would say what's given me hope and why I really got involved in this field was collaborative divorce, and getting
Mhm.
trained in that. And what drew me to that obviously was this idea of, divorce is not only the legal process, but there's an emotional process, and that needs to be supported during the divorce. And that requires mental health professionals that are involved, and a child specialist, which is what I do, to bring the kid's voice to the table. And seeing families who choose that option, and the different trajectory that their family tends to go on when they do that, because they're not just learning, they're not just making the decisions then in the moment, but they're learning a new way of relating and communicating, and they're learning a process for how to do it, as long as their kids are growing. And there's power in that. And I think it's still such an unknown process option for families. But it's such a great one. And when it works really beautifully. So my hope is I'm seeing it, and I hope to continue to see families become aware of that and choose that option for their families, because it's such a child-centered, family-focused
Yeah.
process.
Yeah. We love the collaborative method. We know what that is, but for the people
Yeah,
that are here, could you give just a brief little snippet? Because some people think it's just, oh, we're being amicable. Like, no, that's
yeah,
not it. Like there's training. Like please give everybody a little
sure.
primer real quick.
Yeah, so actually, I mean, the interesting thing, right, is that the two parents don't have to necessarily be great at collaborating to do collaborative. The idea is that you have a collaborative team of professionals who are there with the same goal, which is to keep you out of litigation, because we know that leads to most contentious divorces. And they're there to coach you through the process of making these decisions that will best serve your family. So all of those triggers that show up and things that get in the way of people being able to make kind of decisions from that neutral child focused place. They're there to support you with financial professionals, attorneys, the mental health divorce coach, the child specialist. We are all neutral in the process of helping parents do it in the best way possible. So it's really just that there's this team, which can seem overwhelming at first, but in my experience, it's a little front heavy, but it's a shorter process and it's a far less expensive process, and the costs are significantly less because your family comes out the other side so much better off because of it. So that's a short snippet. We have some stuff on our website as well about the difference between all the process options, how they compare, what kind of each is best at, which might be helpful for some people who aren't familiar with, all the differences and nuances between them.
Yeah, no, that was a great explanation. And I think it's very consistent with like how we live our lives, right? Like I have a dentist, I have, a therapist, I have, a primary care doc,
Yeah.
I have this team of people that help keep me functioning. And that's a model that we can take into like lots of other parts of our lives, especially some of the most difficult parts of our lives. But before we wrap up, we would love for people, to know where they can find you, more about how you help people like actively, not just in Maryland, but around the world, because you've had some fans in here dropping stars, talking about how much they love you. And we love you too. It's like,
Oh.
oh, this is the beginning of something special, but let them all know where they can find you and how they can access your expertise.
Yeah, so they can find us on Instagram. We're at the Co-Parent Collective. We're also on Facebook, also at the Co-Parent Collective. We have a website. We're very cohesive, thecoparentcollective.com. And so on our website, we have a couple different courses. So one we're launching very soon, which is about co-parent communication. Our module that's available now, our playbook, I'm sorry, that's available now is the first 90 days. So that's really about these process options, resources for talking to your kids about that you're or telling your kids that you're getting divorced, how to know if your kids will be, or additional support, or if they're doing okay. So that's in our first module. Like we said, our second module is dropping very soon. And they're going to be, that's going to be focusing on co-parent communication. So how to self-regulate, how to send a good message, how to, what are your guideposts for communication, Biff? And then eventually we're going to be working on blended family work because that's so important also.
Yeah.
And another big piece of like that can be a big inflection point in your two home family is
Yeah.
introducing another person in, and that can be a huge transition for your kids. So we're
Yep.
going to be working on that as well. And then we do offer also individual coaching, and we're working on all sorts of things. So yeah, just hit us up on any of those methods, and we would be happy to point you in the right direction or point you in a direction. If we're not the direction, we have a lot of great
Yes.
colleagues and people locally and across the country who can help.
Well, thank you both so much again for sharing your valuable expertise and for, just all the support that you offer to people that are in the co-parenting space and journey. And thank you for being a part of
I
Divorce
know.
Con.
And you sound just like us, like got a lot of irons in the fire.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
I think like that's the challenge of being a duo. Like, I mean, I cannot imagine this life, like, but sometimes we have to like talk ourselves down, like, we have so many ideas.
Yeah, like, let's put it in the parking lot for right now.
Yeah. Usually
Yeah.
she's telling me to put it in a parking lot. Do y'all have, is one of you like, what makes your partnership work?
That's so funny. I was gonna say Kate is like Kate gets everything done. I'm like I'm along. Kate like tells me she's like, let's do this. This I'm okay. Kate, you're gonna figure out the
To
IT.
be
You're
fair,
gonna
my
figure out.
children are older, so I have a little bit more flexibility than Hallie in terms of time. So that might be part of it. But
Yeah.
we're so excited to have we're new, we're excited, we're growing, and we are like so grateful to have had this opportunity. So and we're hopeful, to continue to get to know you guys because we
Yeah.
love making those connections. So
Yeah, well, we're new too, so we can be new together. You
yay.
know? Yeah. So, I mean, how many years are you guys in or months?
Well, so we are the lunch that our mentor set us up on. I think it was like actually, Kate, I think it was like 3.5 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, and then but we didn't start really doing the
Hallie got pregnant, had a baby. There were some things
Ah,
that
had a
happened,
baby. We like, yeah, there was a lot in there. And so I think we really didn't start doing this in earnest until about the
Yeah.
beginning of year, I would say. We
Okay.
had given some presentations to like the DC bar and the DC bench and the Montgomery County bar and bench. And I think we're coming up to Baltimore County, hopefully, in the fall, to the or the Baltimore County bar. So we've been doing a lot of education like that for a while,
Yeah.
but really focusing on broadening the co-parenting space. That's been new in like the last
Very
6
new.
months.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Well, we look forward to being partners as you
Yay.
continue to do great work.
Well, thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah. Thanks everybody for being a part of DivorceCon. That's a wrap. That's a
Yes.
Woo!
wrap. And thank you
Congrats.
for ending it on such a great note. We'll be back in January. And then when we go in person for DivorceCon next year, Kate and Hallie, we hope that you'll join it. You'll come right up 95.
Love to be there.
Okay. All right. Let's do it. All right,
All right.
everybody. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.